09:42 hours, 87 nautical miles north-northeast of the Strait of Hormuz, Iranian coastal waters. The MQ-9 Reaper orbited at 22,000 feet, synthetic aperture radar mapping Iranian shoreline installations in methodical sweeps. Intelligence analysts aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln monitored data feeds in real time, cataloging Revolutionary Guard facilities along the Bandar Abbas corridor. The morning reconnaissance mission proceeded according to protocol. Then the secure communication channel from 5th Fleet headquarters transmitted flash priority orders. Locate and identify the launch site responsible for yesterday's 60 UAV attack. The hunt had begun. The intelligence picture crystallized rapidly. Signals intelligence platforms had intercepted Iranian military communications during the engagement, triangulating transmission origins to a 12-square-mile area northeast of Bandar Abbas. National reconnaissance satellites repositioned orbital tracks, directing synthetic aperture radar and electro-optical sensors toward the target zone. The National Security Agency provided decrypted Revolutionary Guard communications confirming operational control from a facility designated Site 47 in classified Iranian military documentation. The stakes were strategic: identify the base, assess its capabilities, determine whether it represented singular threat or networked node within larger drone warfare infrastructure. American intelligence assets converged on a single objective: find the source. At 10:15 hours, the MQ-9 Reaper detected thermal signatures consistent with recent large-scale aviation operations. The unmanned aircraft descended to 18,000 feet, activating high-resolution imaging systems. The target emerged through digital magnification, a compound spanning 340 acres, surrounded by berms and camouflage netting, located 19 miles inland from Bandar Abbas. Dozens of rectangular structures arranged in grid patterns suggested hangar facilities. Vehicle tracks crisscrossed unpaved roads connecting the buildings. Most significantly, the thermal imaging revealed heat blooms from 47 distinct locations, engine exhaust patterns matching Shahed 136 propulsion systems recently activated, then powered down. The intelligence windfall was comprehensive. This was the launch site. At 10:28 hours, additional reconnaissance assets entered the operational area. An RQ-4 Global Hawk repositioned from patrol station over the Arabian Sea, climbing to 55,000 feet to provide wide-area surveillance. The unmanned aircraft's advanced sensors captured imagery across multiple spectrums: visible light, infrared, and synthetic aperture radar. The data painted a detailed picture. Site 47 housed an estimated 180 to 220 Shahed-class UAVs distributed across 14 hardened shelters. Mobile launch rails lined the facility's western perimeter. Fuel storage tanks clustered near the southern access road. Revolutionary Guard personnel moved between structures in observable patterns, suggesting operational tempo consistent with post-mission recovery and rearmament procedures. At 11:03 hours, intelligence fusion centers aboard the Lincoln and at Central Command headquarters in Tampa began constructing target packages. Imagery analysts identified 23 high-value structures within the compound: command and control facilities, maintenance hangars, munition storage bunkers, and fuel depots. Weapons specialists calculated optimal strike configurations: AGM-158 JASSM cruise missiles for hardened targets, GBU-31 JDAM precision-guided bombs for above-ground structures, AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missiles for air defense systems. The tactical plan took shape: a coordinated airstrike utilizing 32 precision weapons delivered by 8 FA-18EF Super Hornets and 4 EA-18G Growlers for electronic warfare support. Estimated time to target package approval: 6 to 8 hours pending National Command Authority authorization. But Washington hesitated. The geopolitical calculus was complex. A retaliatory strike against Iranian territory constituted escalation beyond defensive engagement. Regional allies expressed concern about broader conflict ignition. European partners urged diplomatic channels. The National Security Council convened emergency sessions, debating response options across the spectrum, from targeted strikes to comprehensive pressure campaigns. The military presented the target data. The intelligence community assessed Iranian retaliatory capabilities. The State Department outlined diplomatic ramifications. The decision matrix balanced competing imperatives: demonstrate consequences for attacks on American forces while avoiding regional conflagration. At 14:37 hours, an alternative approach emerged from interagency deliberations. Rather than kinetic strikes, the United States would implement a multi-domain pressure campaign combining cyber operations, economic sanctions, and intelligence exposure. United States Cyber Command received authorization to infiltrate Iranian Revolutionary Guard networks, controlling Site 47's operational systems. The objective was precise: degrade facility capabilities without physical destruction, demonstrating American reach while maintaining escalation control. The The operation, designated Electric Shoal, commenced within 90 minutes of authorization. At 16:12 hours, cyber operators penetrated Site 47's logistics network through vulnerabilities in Iranian-manufactured supervisory control systems. The infiltration avoided detectable intrusion signatures, exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities in the facility's networked infrastructure. Once inside, the attack code propagated through connected systems, fuel management databases, maintenance scheduling software, and flight planning networks. The malware introduced subtle corruptions: fuel mixture calculations altered by 3%, maintenance schedules randomized, flight control parameters modified within margins that would not trigger immediate alerts but would degrade operational reliability over subsequent missions. Simultaneously, the Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control prepared comprehensive sanctions targeting Iranian drone manufacturing supply chains. The designation list included 23 entities and 47 individuals involved in Shahed production, procurement, and operational deployment. European allies coordinated parallel measures, freezing assets, and restricting technology transfers. The financial pressure campaign aimed to strangle Iranian UAV programs at industrial origins, making component acquisition prohibitively expensive and logistically complex. At 1844 hours, the intelligence community executed the most visible element of the response: public exposure. Declassified satellite imagery of Site 47 was released through official channels, accompanied by detailed briefings to international media. The images showed the facility's layout, UAV storage locations, and launch infrastructure with precision that shocked Iranian military planners. The message was unambiguous. American intelligence had complete visibility into Revolutionary Guard operations. No facility was hidden, no operation was unobserved. The psychological impact was strategic. Iranian commanders now operated with the knowledge that their most sensitive installations were mapped, monitored, and targetable. The exposure triggered immediate Iranian internal recriminations. Revolutionary Guard leadership faced intense criticism from Iranian political factions opposing military adventurism. Hardliners who had authorized the carrier strike found themselves defending operational security failures. The public revelation of Site 47's location compromised years of infrastructure investment. Iranian military doctrine relied on concealment and surprise. American intelligence had penetrated both. The political fallout within Tehran's power structure was immediate and severe. Military commanders who had championed drone warfare faced questions about vulnerability and strategic wisdom. At 21:15 hours, Iranian state media began damage control operations, broadcasting denials and counter-narratives. Official statements claimed the exposed facility was decommissioned, that American intelligence was fabricated, that the UAV attack had been conducted by non-state actors. The denials were transparent and ineffective. International observers compared satellite imagery timestamps with engagement timelines. The evidence was irrefutable. Site 47 had launched the attack. American intelligence had identified the perpetrators. Iranian credibility suffered accordingly. The tactical lessons were immediate and far-reaching. The United States had demonstrated multi-domain response capability, cyber infiltration, economic warfare, intelligence operations, and kinetic options held in reserve. The approach provided escalation flexibility while imposing tangible costs. Iranian commanders now confronted degraded operational systems, compromised supply chains, and exposed infrastructure. Future drone operations would proceed with the knowledge that American retaliation would be precise, multifaceted, and strategically calibrated. Strategic ramifications cascaded through regional security architecture. Gulf Cooperation Council states observed American willingness to respond to attacks with methods short of conventional military strikes. The approach preserved regional stability while demonstrating resolve. Israel noted the cyber operations model, recognizing applicability to its own confrontations with Iranian proxy forces. Russian and Chinese analysts cataloged American multi-domain integration, assessing implications for their own operational planning. The engagement and subsequent response became case study in modern graduated deterrence. The cyber operations at Site 47 continued producing effects over subsequent weeks. Iranian maintenance crews discovered inexplicable system malfunctions. UAVs experienced fuel system failures during pre-flight checks. Flight control software generated erratic navigation outputs. The facility's operational readiness degraded steadily, reducing launch capacity by an estimated 40% within 30 days of initial infiltration. Revolutionary Guard technical teams struggled to identify the source of cascading failures. American cyber operators monitored their efforts through persistent network access, adjusting attack parameters to maintain degradation while avoiding detection. The economic sanctions proved equally effective. Iranian procurement networks found European suppliers unwilling to risk secondary sanctions. Component costs increased by 60 to 80% as Iranian buyers resorted to black market channels. Production timelines extended. Quality control suffered as substitute materials replaced preferred specifications. The financial pressure compounded operational degradation, creating compounding effects across Iranian drone warfare capabilities. The intelligence exposure generated long-term strategic consequences. Iranian military planners initiated comprehensive facility relocations, dispersing UAV operations across dozens of smaller sites. The reorganization consumed months and diverted resources from operational missions. American intelligence agencies tracked the dispersal in real time, updating target databases and maintaining comprehensive situational awareness. The cycle repeated: Iranian adaptation followed by American observation and response preparation. The intelligence advantage remained decisive. Regional perceptions shifted fundamentally. American restraint in avoiding kinetic strikes was interpreted not as weakness, but as confidence. The multi-domain response demonstrated capability to impose costs without escalation. Iranian hardliners who had viewed drone swarms as asymmetric advantage confronted the reality that American responses operated across domains Iranian defenses could not counter. The psychological impact was strategic. Future Revolutionary Guard operations would proceed with awareness that American retaliation was inevitable, precise, and immune to Iranian defensive measures. The operation established precedent for graduated response doctrine. Attacks on American forces would trigger calibrated retaliation matched to threat levels. The response toolkit extended beyond kinetic strikes to include cyber warfare, economic pressure, intelligence operations, and diplomatic isolation. The flexibility provided escalation control while ensuring consequences. Iranian military commanders absorbed the lesson. Attacking American assets guaranteed retaliation, but the form and intensity would be determined by American strategic interests rather than Iranian expectations. 72 hours after the engagement, Site 47 remained operational but degraded, its capabilities diminished, its security compromised, its personnel demoralized. The message resonated through Tehran's military command structure. The United States possessed tools beyond conventional warfare, eyes that saw through concealment, and willingness to employ power across every domain. The hunt had succeeded, the target had been found, the response had been delivered, and the Persian Gulf remained an American lake not through occupation, but through the demonstrated capability to see everything, strike anything, and impose costs that adversaries could neither predict nor prevent.